Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Valley Public Forum video podcast. On this podcast, we feature issues of interest to the Mid-Ohio Valley area, mainly encompassing Wood County, West Virginia, and Washington County, Ohio. Right now, with the coronavirus pandemic the way it is, civic life has changed greatly.
This is an election year, and one of the changes has been that candidates for public office are not able to campaign the way they normally would. Generally, this time of year, they'd be out knocking on people's doors, going to meet and greets and soup bean dinners and ice cream socials, shaking hands, kissing babies, all of those things. But right now, they can't do any of that.
Nope. So many of our initial podcasts will be interviews with candidates for local office. If you're a candidate and we haven't reached out to you yet, please contact us either through our Facebook page, MOV Public Forum, or via email at movpublicforum@gmail.com.
Today we'll be interviewing Michael Hess. He's running for Parkersburg City Council, District 2. He prefers to go by Mickey. District 2 is located solely on the south side of Parkersburg. Welcome, Mickey. We're glad you could join us this afternoon.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
With that, let's dive right in. How would you introduce yourself as a candidate? Do you have an elevator speech? So if we were traveling in an elevator and you only had the time between floors to convince me to vote for you, what would you say?
Well, I don't really have an elevator speech, but what I would tell you is that I'm a 2019 graduate of Parkersburg South High School and the Parkersburg South School of Business, and I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's degree of legal studies at the West Virginia University of Parkersburg. And I'm running for Parkersburg City Council in order to help businesses grow, help families thrive, and youth evolve into the leaders of tomorrow, and at the same time bring a fresh perspective to city government.
So what is the main thing motivating you to run for office? What made you decide to step up right now and run for city council?
Well, I've been interested in government and have actively attended city council meetings since I was 13 or 14 years old. And back in September, when the incumbent city councilwoman had actually announced she wasn't going to run, I decided to file. And I filed because while I feel Parkersburg has made strides in many areas, I feel Parkersburg for a long time has been failing this area's families and their youth. And the youth are the greatest asset that this city has. And for decades now, Parkersburg has seen families and youth go to other cities and other states because they have access to more jobs and more opportunity there. And it's time we start addressing that. And if elected, that will definitely be a main focus of my tenure on city council.
What do you think is your wow factor? So if someone heard about you or your candidacy, they'd say, wow, that makes you want to vote for him.
I'm not sure about my wow factor, but I would say something that certainly differentiates me from my opponent is definitely my age, being 19 years old. It certainly differentiates me from my opponent and from the voters' typical idea of a candidate.
If you're elected, what is the one thing you really want to accomplish during your term in office? And also, is there any particular city ordinance that you'd like to see abolished, changed, or created?
One thing I definitely like to see get underway and get completed is the Guyon Road sidewalk construction and enhancement project. It's time we get that done and completed so families and youth that walk along Guyon Road and go to school to Guyon Road have a safe pathway to get to their homes and to get to school. And the answer to your second question, I think our officers need more support, and a low-cost solution to that is to establish a reserve police unit for our officers to make sure they have more support when they're on the front lines.
How do you feel about compromise?
I think compromise is a good thing, and I think it's necessary. But the important thing about compromise is that when you're in the process of doing it, that you don't compromise your own values and your own integrity.
Do you play well with others? And can you give me some concrete examples?
I would say I definitely play well with others, you know, being in scouting and being in school and being active in different civic organizations. I'd say I probably do well playing with others and working in a group situation.
What do you think is your worst enemy would say is your worst quality?
Can you repeat that? You broke up a little bit for me.
Sure. What do you think your worst enemy would say is your worst quality?
Gosh, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I don't know, really.
The flip side of that is, what do you think is your best quality?
I would say, you know, a quality that I think is good about myself is that I think I have the ability to sit down and listen to anyone and their ideas and their perspective, regardless of their background and whether I agree or disagree with them.
Political office holders are leaders. Please describe your leadership style.
I think definitely from being in scouting, one of the biggest takeaways is the coach type of leadership style. And, you know, I think that type of style promotes the strengths of the individual while at the same time works to improve the weaknesses of it. And if elected to city council, I'll definitely take that style of leadership to council.
What are your personal core values?
You know, I think it's definitely to be trustworthy, to be friendly and helpful and reverent. I would say those are the 4 biggest values or principles that I carry in my day-to-day life and my day-to-day activities.
Do you know your win number?
No, I don't, and it's not a big priority for me.
Okay.
So you touched on this earlier. We'd like to know how often you've attended Parkersburg City Council meetings as a citizen. As
a citizen, well, I have attended Parkersburg City Council meetings since I was probably 13 or 14 years old. So I've regularly attended for 5 years, but you know, of course, I always miss a meeting here and there. So yeah, 5 years.
How do you keep up with the happenings at city council meetings when you're unable to attend?
Well, I used to be able to watch it on YouTube until the administration took that away. And if elected, I would definitely like to see live streaming brought back so citizens that are homebound or stuck at home or maybe traveling across states or abroad can have access to what's going on in their city.
You may not know this, but that's how Kim and I have happened upon this podcast. We've been live streaming every meeting for the last several years on Fairness for Parkersburg Facebook page.
And thank you for that.
So Parkersburg has a strong mayor, city government. How do you see city council? What is their role in a strong mayor government?
Well, the role in a strong mayor government is to legislate and to keep the judicial and executive branches in check. You know, regards to other things, the judicial branch will help enforce the ordinances and make sure that they're being followed, and the executive handles the day-to-day operations. Other than that, that's not much you can do.
What do you think you will enjoy the least about serving if you're elected?
You know, I'm not really sure what I'll enjoy the least. I know definitely a worry, you know, looking ahead is how this pandemic is going to hurt the revenues of the city and how we pay for the services we provide to the citizens. I think that's a big worry, and we'll just have to see where it goes.
What excites you the most about serving on city council if you're elected?
Definitely having the ability to work with so many institutions and stakeholders in our community. We have so many great organizations and so many great volunteers and citizens here. It would just be an honor to be elected and to work with them.
As a citizen of Parkersburg, and if you were elected and a councilman, tell us what you're most proud of with regard to our city.
I think one thing I'm definitely most proud of is just the beautiful and rich history Parkersburg has. And I say that because, well, I'm a history buff and a little bit of a nerd, but I would say we have a beautiful history, and it really just shines.
So with that, we'll move to the hot seat. As I mentioned, one or both of us have been present at nearly every city council meeting since the current city council was sworn in. We've noticed that a lot of what the council does is routine and not of much interest to the general public. We've also noticed that a lot of what comes up in council isn't controversial and is resolved by a unanimous or nearly unanimous vote.
But there have been several hot button issues that engaged the public, stirred up controversy, and divided city council. Now, for the most part, those issues have been resolved for the moment, but there's always a possibility that some of them will come back up again. So we'd like to get your quick take on how you feel about those issues.
So for this purpose, we'll use the support, not support, or support with changes format.
Okay.
Here we go. Non-discrimination ordinance.
Do not support.
Motorized bicycle ban.
I do not support.
Raising city fees for trash collection, fire, and police protection.
Do not support.
Financial support for Parkersburg homecoming and other civic events.
I do support that.
Fireworks ban.
I do not support that.
I'm sorry, Splashpad project.
Support with changes.
A social media policy or code of conduct.
I would support that.
Dumpster fencing and cleanup.
I would support that.
Residential property cleanup.
I might support that with changes.
Okay. With that, we'll move into the wild card section, and these are softballs. You've made it through the gauntlet, so this should be the easy part of the interview.
Okay.
What's your favorite thing or place in our city?
My favorite thing for sure is the people. The people are so kind and they're so dedicated to this community. And it feels so good to be a part of that community. My most favorite place would definitely have to be Southwood Park. Growing up as a kid, I always remember going there and playing on the slide or going to the pool and playing or playing on the playground equipment. So I would say just because of sentimental value, definitely Southwood Park.
And what are you personally passionate about?
Personally, I'm passionate about just helping anybody any way I can. I think if we had more of that in the world, it would be a much more beautiful world.
What do you like to do in your off time?
I might read a little bit. I'll play with my rabbits. I'll watch C-SPAN. It just depends on what's going on.
What is most unique about you?
I'm not sure what's most unique about me, but I'm not sure.
It's interesting to hear you keep rabbits. The mayor keeps bees. So
yes.
We're learning all kinds of new things about folk.
Yes.
With that, we've come to our soft end.
Okay.
I'd like to give you the platform to tell us and voters anything else you feel like we need to know or that we might have missed, including how to get more information on your campaign, how to get in touch with you, donate, get involved, etc.
Mm-hmm. All I have to say is people can go to my Facebook page, they can go to my Twitter page, they can go to my website, hessforcouncil.com, or they can call me 304-483-2097 and talk anytime about any issue they want.
All right. Well, Vicki, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
We've enjoyed getting to know you and getting information about you out to the voters. And everyone, stay safe, wash those hands. Thank you.
Thank you.